Welcome, Sagarika.
Hi, Madhu.
Now, you were in Stevens, daughter of a bureaucrat, you're right. Went to Oxford, studied history, and then straight from there you were hired by BBC South Asia and interned over there. And that was a great experience, learning experience. Racism, what happened?
Good experience, very inspiring experience. Very nice to be with journalists who really knew their job and who were lively and full of passion for the news and full of passion for India.
There seem to be very few gaps in your life. You went straight from BBC South Asia to Times of India.
Times of India.
Yeah.
No, I joined Times of India as a junior assistant editor. So I was pegging away at junior assistant editing.
From 92, 95?
Yeah, 92
Was that
to
before
95.
they started selling editorial space?
Yes. I was actually there at at that time, and that I remember was a big shock to the entire system.
What happened?
I think what happened is that, Mr. Sameer Jain, who today is a visionary and we all admire him.
Really?
Yeah, we do. We do. I think
started
he
selling
changed.
editorial space and you admire him? Come on, Sagarika. Where's your idealism? Itna to rakho.
I think he transformed Indian journalism. I think Sameer Jain.
In a good way? You can't say that. You cannot say that.
Let me put it this way. I think he made Indian journalism, or at least say the Indian journalist, much more open to what the reader wanted, much more open to what the reader wanted to read, rather than writing about
for each other.
About
and
high diplomacy in impenetrable language on the edit page and being very lofty and patriarchal and taking pride in confounding the reader.
Yeah,
I remember
that's true.
Vivek Bharati used to tell me at one point, at some stage we must confound the reader.
I never saw that, what you're saying, because I just saw it as a cheapening of the whole thing. But there could have been an in-between.
And I think that, to some extent, page 3 became page 1. Yeah, there was a, I think to that extent, there was a democratization that crept into the sort of high intellectual discourse that editors were trapped in at the time.
Very from powerful. There you went to the Telegraph for a bit?
No, from the Times of India I went to Outlook.
Outlook.
Yeah.
And in between, in 94, you got married?
Yeah.
To Rajdeep.
Yeah.
And he was already in TOI?
He was already in TOI Bombay, yeah. He was
and then, so then both of you moved to Outlook, and you were with Outlook from
I was with Outlook from 95 to 2000, yeah.
And you did, what I recall, your Outlook writing, some of it was very brave. I mean, you took on, I remember Arundhati, and I was really amazed at how brave this girl is to take on somebody like Arundhati, who just slices everybody and makes keema out. And you really went for her.
I didn't go for her. I was just trying to sort of, analyze her. I think I continue to believe that she's fascinating. And that she's incredibly inspirational, actually. I don't buy into the sort of, book her under sedition or book her under treason.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But you also wrote a later piece about her being this glamorous red instead of saffron.
Yeah, she made communism sexy, right?
Yeah.
I think
that's an interesting take.
Yeah, I think she made, these causes very, very glamorous in a way. Suddenly, Rally for the Valley became sort of a fun thing that people could do, whereas earlier it was being done by, these joyless comrades who were sort of going around.
And then you quickly went into television, and then Raghav got you into cnn-ibn.
Yeah.
And you said that in cnn-ibn, besides doing Face the Nation, you see yourself more as a concept person.
I had a special features team. Special features used to be this very crack team that we used to run, which used to do news features. So there were a couple of, there were actually 6 or 7 young journalists who were very, very good.
Why did you stop that?
We stopped it because there was not enough space, in the news wheel. Yeah, the news wheel is full of breaking news, breaking news happening 24 hours. So we had to create space.
But a lot of prime time now across the channels is discussions.
Getting,
opposing views on the day's news, and everyone shouting at each other.
And everyone shouting at each other. It's a bad trend, I think.
You think? Then why'd you do it?
That's a kind of format, and marketing departments, blame them. They're the Satan of our age.
But how do they decide? I mean, I am totally flummoxed by this marketing department, because they're basically telling us that please watch crap.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, there are
But
changes coming, and I think that maybe
there are.
your
There
marketing
are.
guys should wake
They
up
should
to
wake
it.
up. And the thing is,
because
you know, but
they're always following trends rather than setting them, which is
that's
what
very true.
Sameer Jain did. He set a trend.
He set a trend, and I think that I think there's a need for a kind of pushing the envelope. But you know, we're doing that. I mean, we do a lot of documentaries. I myself have just came back from UP, where I filmed a documentary on the Dalit revolution, or what's happening to the Dalit revolution, which I found enormously fulfilling. It's something I've been following over the years, and we did a series of documentaries like that from UP. So when elections happen, that's when we get to do more in-depth programming.
Going back to the women thing, when you were working for Outlook, you were sent to interview these civil service guys from England. And you had a baby. Tell us that
infant.
story. Yeah.
Well, you know, Vinod Mehta was an amazing editor to work with. So he sent me off on the story. He said, you know, go and interview these old British ICS officers who are coming back to India, to the Mussoorie Academy. But I had a little baby. I was, you know, literally breastfeeding my daughter. So he said, you know, take the kid and, you know, take your maid and just go up. So there was me, there was my little baby girl, there was the maid, there was a photographer, his wife, who also said, chalo, main bhi chalti hu.
So it was a party.
It was a party, and it was really fun, because I was doing the interview and I had to rush back to keep feeding my baby. And then till the maid said, Madam, aap isko leke jaiye. So then, you know, she was there in my room, so I just brought her with me to the hall where I was interviewing these very, very stiff upper lip, you know, and they were all there, you know, the sort of shepherds of India
And
kind
here
of thing.
comes Earth Mother.
Earth Mother with breastfeeding baby.
Now on Twitter.
Yes, hate central.
It's why
central.
do you attract such abuse?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why.
You're perceived as anti-BJP, pro-Congress.
Yeah.
IBN did a survey, conducted a survey on Rahul Gandhi, and
But that was our survey.
Exactly, but then, you know, it's perceived that you pushed him because 54% find him trustworthy, 41 find him mature, etc.
But that was the survey.
Yeah, but then you have now been branded as
For some
pro-Congress.
reason.
So
Why? I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is.
are
Maybe,
you political?
I enjoy. I mean, I've covered politics.
In the sense that, do you support
No,
a political
no,
ideology or any
no.
political party?
I support a political ideology, which is, I would say, a liberal democrat ideology, theoretically. But I do not support any political party. I have no political affiliations whatsoever. Politicians and journalists cannot be friends.
And should
Don't
not be
even
friends.
try. Should not. And I have many. I have friends who are, over time, you know, they have become.
It becomes
sort
a
of,
problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. But they know that, you know, with this one, you can't. They can't be your friends. This is one group of people with whom you cannot be friends. Even though, you know, you may be friendly. You know, I mean,
There's a difference.
There is a difference. I've known Jayanti Natarajan for years. I've been, you know, talking to her. I know Renuka really well, and you know, I know them. And when we meet socially, it is a friendly vibe. I know Jay Panda really well. I mean, I know.
But you know, like Arun, my brother told me once, at that time, Rajiv Gandhi was inviting journalists for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I got an invitation, and he said, don't go. Because once you get that close, you won't be able to be objective.
Exactly. There's a gap, you know, there's certainly a bridge. Yeah, there's a problem. And you know, and I think politicians, by definition, want loyalty. You know, they don't see any other point of view.
Now, on that whole thing on cash for votes,
Cash
what
for
happened
votes.
there?
Well, actually, the matter is sub judice, so I don't want to say too much. But what I can say from our point of view as a channel is that we were just pursuing a story. Yes, a politician gave us a tip-off, saying this was happening. We went along and wanted to cover the story. When the reporter came back, we simply felt that the material he had to be rechecked by us. And we did show it. You know, we did show the tapes. We showed all the tapes. We showed them a few months later.
Was there pressure not to show them from any political party?
No, there was no. I mean, no political party is stupid. I mean, you put pressure on us, we'll blurt it out on air immediately. What I just want to say is that, you know, a political timeline and a journalistic timeline just can't match. They don't match.
Politicians felt let down.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, we were being abused from both sides.
Yeah.
The BJP said, oh, they're letting us down, and the Congress is, this is a BJP trap. So we thought, oh, we must be doing something right, because both parties
Or everything wrong.
Or everything wrong, because everyone is abusing us and saying, you know, you're an agent of them or you're an agent of so and so. The truth is, we were agents of no one. We were just following a journalistic agenda.
And now Mukesh Ambani has bought into TV18.
Right.
And how does that affect you?
Not at all. I mean, I, as a journalist, have experienced no interference whatsoever from the corporate floor.
Tell me this footage that was shown day before yesterday
Yeah.
on all the channels
Yeah.
of the Ambani party
Yeah.
for Sachin.
Yeah.
How did it work? Did they give you the footage?
They gave us a tape.
And did they ask you to run it? Did they pay for it?
No.
So
They gave us the tape.
So this is amazing that the richest man in the country has a party, makes his own tape of the party, gives it to all the channels, and they're all running it at the same time. What clout is this?
Madhu, I think in the larger context, I think we're living in a celebrity-saturated culture.
But isn't it the other way around? It's the press that's building up the celebrities and then saying we are pandering to the...
You could argue
like,
that it's a chicken and egg. But when you get, say, footage which has Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, Salman Khan, Priyanka Chopra, Amir Khan, Sachin Tendulkar, who really, I've got people in my office who really do worship him as a sort of a, they do actually worship him as a kind of a god figure.
Sachin.
Yeah, Sachin. You have all of them on one stage. People like to feel they're also part of the party. And our feeling was that, everybody wants to be invited to this party, right? I mean, everybody wants to go to celebrate Sachin's 100th. Or we figured that may be something that people would want to see. I mean, it would be very difficult when a tape like that comes your way, which is Sachin's 100th, with the galaxy of Bollywood there to salute him. And not only Bollywood, but, Lata Mangeshkar, she sang, it would be very difficult to say no to that tape and say, no, we're not going to, we're not going to.
But even just showing small clips of it as newsmakers, but it was like run on all the channels like a full program, giving all the speeches.
Yeah.
And it was a bit overdone, don't you think?
Maybe it was overdone, but I think when that kind of footage, television camera, as you know more than anyone else, just loves pictures, loves drama, loves the big picture, and everybody.
Now about your Sri incident of your fake life.
My fake life, yes.
Mahir Sharma wrote a long piece.
The thing is, news channels do fake lives all the time, right? They are what we call simsats, which are recorded interviews, which we play into a discussion. What we are doing now was that we are putting a recorded earlier bug on it. The reason why I was so crucified on Twitter because of it is also because, again, I'm perceived as, anti-Hindu or
actually, Mahir Sharma took it apart on journalistic
his
terms.
was different, yeah.
Because the thing is that one thing we do as journalists is that we ask in print as well as television is that this is a space you suspend disbelief. If you're saying it's live and somebody else is also saying live and the same guy is in the same place in two different places in different clothes where somebody is lying. Because
you just put a recorded earlier.
No, either NDTV is lying or cnn-ibn is lying.
I don't know who it was at that time.
He can't be live on both places.
No.
Now I was very angry with you when you did not fix Ram Jethmalani.
I thought he was having a heart attack.
Why, he was screaming, yelling,
he was
called you a chit of a girl, abused journalists. Why were you so mild with him?
I was just gobsmacked. I just was shell-shocked.
Not forgivable.
Not
you
forgivable.
should have given it back.
I know. He was, the cameraman was standing behind me saying, Madam, ये तो कुछ लग रहा है, ये तो ठीक नहीं है, ये okay नहीं है. Because he was frothing at the mouth and,
And then you made capital of it by making an ad out of it.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Then you recovered and said, okay, let's use it.
Yeah, I really thought he was having a heart attack. And that's one of the first times that actually I was actually being called this chit of a girl. And
that's
sometimes,
a gender issue.
Big time. That is something in television I found a huge amount, is that is male, powerful men or senior men or people who are very liberal outwardly. I mean, when you're interviewing them, and I'm sure you've had this experience, they come across as real patriarchal sort of, women haters.
Yeah.
And you can see that the sheer loathing of
women haters who are out of their place. They should be in their place.
Yeah, I mean, the modern woman in India is public enemy number one. We're not going to say the things that you're comfortable with. Yeah, we're going to say uncomfortable things.
Well, you've done a lot of even making me a little queasy, like this orgasm. Men, you owe it to us. Where was that coming from?
No, hang on. That was for my friend Aditya Sinha,
Okay.
who was writing this satirical magazine called Jal Mag. Okay, and I wrote this like 100 years ago. It's haunting
I know,
me.
you
that
look
article.
like a baby in the picture.
Yeah, this article is haunting me. I was just fresh out of university.
Oh Lord, you better put out a clarification.
I know, and that stupid Aditya Sinha is keeping on
Because
running
everybody
it.
reads it and said,
I
my
know.
God, Rajdeep better get his act together.
How strange is that? I know, I wish they would take it off. I really wish Aditya would take it off.
Yeah, well, no, it's gone on from
And it's
Aditya
gone
to,
on.
yeah, it's viral.
This is the horror of the internet.
And then once you tweeted that Indian men are ugly. How could you do that, Sagarika? They're
That
lovely.
was a mistake. That was a mistake. I had
Indian
to
men,
apologize
I like
for that.
Indian men.
Then I like
Come
them
on,
too.
as
I like
compared
them
to
too.
a lot of other
I'm married
nationalities.
to one,
Come on, they're great.
But you know, at that particular point, the ones in Bangkok airport, I was looking at them going, uh-oh. No, I shouldn't have. You know, I should be a little more responsible in the way I tweet, I guess.
And then there was a tweet between you and Rajdeep where there were a few seconds difference and there was a complete disagreement on Gandhi, on Governor Gandhi.
Oh, we have huge disagreements.
I would imagine
like,
so. Yeah,
we're
of
like
course.
at daggers drawn. Most of the time, breakfast is like, my children are like, please keep quiet.
And you have experienced this hatred for TV anchors, as you were saying.
Yes, I think television hatred is an industry. Actually, you know, it's an industry, and I was actually part of that industry before I joined television. I mean, I had problems. Yeah, I think it's very difficult for people to deal with 6 screaming people who come on every evening giving their views. You know, it's oppressive. People find it very hard to deal with. And you know, as you were telling me, you know, people think you're sort of hard as nails and you have this armor. And
even friends, they just come and say any shit to you and think that she can take it.
Yeah.
And the women who are flowers, who are
steel inside.
Steel worse, claws inside, and keep it inside in front of the men. And when they have their backs turned, all the claws are out.
That's so true, you know. That is so true. I mean,
if you're tough at work, it doesn't mean you're tough in your life.
No, and we're just letting it all, hang out, and we're kind of, we're not good at politics and all that.
But there are
sweet,
enough
sweet
women
politics.
like us for us to feel okay.
Yeah.
The flowers can be the flowers with the claws inside.
I've never been a flower, and I can't even.
But
begin
sometimes I envy them because they
get their job done. They get the job done, and they play them in like guitars.
In this slimy, what I call slimy, but it's clever.
Exactly. You know, to you and me, it would be slimy. I would consider it slimy and kind of not upfront. I mean, I'd much rather be upfront about stuff, you know.
You wrote about that Kanimozi. You wrote about Kanimozi, and in that, you talked about the rich.
Yeah.
And you took a very unpopular, and I would imagine you would have expected a really violent reaction from people because it is so politically incorrect to actually show your support for the rich and why the rich being treated so badly.
Yeah.
And why should they pay for all the terrible things that are, and there is, I think, very seriously a class war in India. There's a language war between the English speaking and the regional speaking people. There is a class war in terms of
there is a class
incomes, and there's a class war in terms of culture. So why did you stick your neck out like that? I mean, you were one perceived as a Kanimozi supporter.
No, I'm
of
not
course,
a Kanimozi supporter.
No, I know.
I mean, I was convinced that was the right thing to write. I thought that, I had debated the issue in and out with legal experts, with eminent jurists, Soli Sorabji, Fali Nariman, and all of them had spoken out in impassioned ways, saying, listen,
that they really don't belong in jail.
Bail is not, you cannot deny bail. Investigate, convict the person in jail, but you can't jail without a trial. Today, Madhu, if you and I, honestly, if we were arrested for a crime, it would be curtains for us. I sometimes think about Arushi Talwar's parents. I don't know what the case is. But the kind of things that were said about Arushi Talwar's mother, about Nupur Talwar. Oh, she left the kid with the maid, she was sleeping while this happened to the kid, she was going out, or they had some lifestyle. Those things could be said about me. Those things could be said about you. I mean, God forbid, if anything ever happened to us, if we were accused of something, our lifestyles...
Actually, right now, an accusation becomes a fact very quickly.
No, what happens is...
But on the other hand, I'll tell you, my experience with when I was held in contempt of court for having the temerity to send report cards out to senior judges, senior lawyers, to rate the judges on integrity, knowledge of law, punctuality, courtesy, all of that. And they all actually rated them. And we compiled it and published it in Why India. And then the full bench sat in to hear my case, and I was held in contempt of court. Now, I did not want to apologize. I thought it was a great case to fight.
Yeah.
But what happened was that along with me was my editor and the reporter who did the story. Okay? Now, I knew that if I did not apologize, I would be sent to jail for like an hour, a week, and I would be out, coming from the class that I do. Those two...
That used to happen,
No, those two would have gone in and the key would have been thrown away for them. This happened in Tehelka, all right? A guy that barely anybody heard about, Kumar Badal, was thrown in because he was working for Tehelka for 18 months. Nobody heard him. He was tortured, he was beaten, all kinds of things happened. But nothing happened to the senior journalists because they were high profile.
They were high profile, and I think that's a very good point. Because,
and I really had to swallow my pride and apologize, because I knew that it was curtains for them, not for me. I'd be a wonderful media heroine that I went into jail for this. And you know, after Kiran's, what she's done in Tihar jail, women's jail is quite comfortable. It has everything. Yoga.
I believe it's
food.
rather good. Yeah, the yoga is pretty good in the
Bijli kabhi
morning.
nahi jati.
Take it to Tihar for a day. Yeah, but the thing is that, so I think what happened was remarkable. That was good. But I mean, where I was coming from is that, you know, let's uphold the law. Let's not make this a witch hunt or a storming of the Bastille or a...
But your article was more about the rich, you know, and that was, you know, I think that put you in an area where you'd immediately invite abuse.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, I feel that, you know, let's be just and fair. And a lot of people ask me, you know, but what about the hundreds of under trials who are thrown in and not given bail? And I think that's an absolutely valid argument. In fact, we've done several shows with Colin Gonsalves, who is fighting for bail for the under trials, who are just picked up from the streets and put in. And I made that point in my article as well, that here I am writing about Sanjay Chandra and, you know, and Kani Mozi. But the fact is, there are hundreds and thousands of under trials. And let's just like there are hundreds and thousands of Binayak Sens, and there are hundreds and thousands of, you know, Arundhati Roys who don't get that kind of coverage. But, you know, Binayak Sen, who was put under sedition, there are so many who've been slapped with sedition.
Now, my last question, I want you to think carefully.
Oh, no.
Because I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
If a negative story, a really bad story, falls into your lap about Mukesh Ambani, what will you do?
I check the story. And
if it turns out to be true?
If it turns out to be true, I would go ahead with the story. As editors, we would go ahead with the story. As journalists,
and if you get the message that if you run it, you're out?
If we get that message, then, well, my instinct would be then it would be difficult for me to continue. It would be. Because then God knows what else would be considered not up to the mark. But you know, that has not happened so far, and I must say that...
It's just begun.
But you know, he has, what I think is very heartening about the Mukesh Ambani investment is that it's completely out in the open. It's an open investment that he has made in Network 18. Now, having made this investment, I think he wants Network 18 to be just as autonomous and just as credible, which is the reason why he invested in it in the first place.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, so why would he then want that not to happen? So, you know, and I have to say, having met Mukesh Ambani
he's a charming
twice,
man.
He's charming, and he's incredibly bright. He's incredibly bright. I mean, there's no
Both brothers
doubt
are bright,
about
but
that.
Mukesh is endearing.
Yeah,
he remembers everyone. He talks.
Yeah.
You know, he seeks you out in a party.
He seeks you out, and he has a vision.
Not me out, but seeks everybody out.
He seeks everybody out. And he made a very
Friendly.
interesting comment to Rajdeep, actually, you know, when we were doing our Real Heroes function, and there was one of our Real Heroes, we have these awards of Real Heroes, who came up and said who we were awarding, and who was a great opponent, actually, of the Jamnagar plant of the Reliance. And so this was a Reliance function. Reliance is the sponsor, and we are awarding a real hero who is anti-Reliance,
fighting
against Jamnagar for the pollution. And he said it. This man said it. He said, you know, and Rajdeep said, what would you like to say to Mukesh Bhai? You're here, you're getting an award from him. He said, you know, don't pollute the air and don't pollute the oceans. And so Mukesh said, listen, Rajdeep, joro, toro nahi. I thought that was good, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, let's find ways. We both exist. Corporate exists. Dissenters exist. Let's find ways in which we can work together.
Well, let's hope that he stays out of it editorially. Thanks,
sure he will.
Sagarika. You
It was
should.
great.
And if he doesn't, then I'm going to call you.
Yes, I will be here.
Thanks, Sagarika.
Thanks, Madhu.
We'll be back next time with another journalist, editor, we don't know who, but catch us on Can You Take It?